The Photoshop workspace is the area of Photoshop in which you'll be spending the bulk of your time in. It comprises of a couple number of sections which I want you to take note of. The first off being the top menu bar area right here, the left hand menu area, which is the one right here. This left hand menu area holds the bulk of the tools you'll be making use of 80% of the time, and to do you well to familiarize yourself with its location and the tools that are present within it. And also you have the contextual menu, which is the menu that is located directly underneath our topmost menu. It is called contextual menu in the sense that it changes based on the tool that is selected from right here. You also have the right dock panels, which are the ones that you see here. You don't need to worry about them that much, as they also could be termed as contextual. They could change as time goes on based on your preference or what kind of document you are working on. Going back to our topmost menu, if you want to create a new document to work with, the menu in which you need to take note of that you're going to use for such operations as saving as well as opening old document is the file menu. By clicking on the file menu, you find out that it opens a doc for you containing a couple number of links for basic operations like to create a new document, to open pre-existing documents. You can also browse in Bridge, browse in Mini Bridge, and the list goes on and on. What I want you to take note of within this menu is the new, the open, the save, and the savers. As time goes on, you will learn about the other options that are available directly underneath this menu. Take for example, you open Photoshop and you want to start a new project. The first thing you need to do is to go into this file menu and click on new. By clicking on the new menu, you will get a dialog box showing you a couple number of options to choose from. You don't need to worry about all the options. What I want you to take note of in this dialog box is the width, the height, and the resolution of the image. You could also take note of the color mode. The color mode sounds a bit advanced to most beginners, but you don't need to worry about them. And by default, generally they will be set at RGB. Now RGB is shortcut for red, green, and blue. Once again, you don't need to worry about all this. Just keep in mind that you can set the width of the document from here, set the height of the document, and set the resolution. But by default, generally, you will get all the settings done for you. Or you could very easily click on the presets menu right here and select web. By choosing the web option, you will get a lot of the defaults set for you automatically. The color mode will be set to RGB color, and the background content will be automatically set to white. All you need to do is to change the width and the height of the document to fit with the document you want to create. Also take note of the measurement units, as this could make a huge difference to the actual size of your image. Now 800 pixels is a whole lot different from 800 inches and centimeters, also millimeters. So just take note of them and ensure you're always working with pixels, as pixels is somewhat the standard for web measurements. With that done, you can quickly click on OK to start a new document. Now take for example, you are done working on your document and you want to save your work. You could use the shortcut key Ctrl S to save your work, or very easily come back into the file menu, click on file, click on it, and click on save as. By clicking on save as, you get a dialog box typical with every save operation on a PC, or if you're on a Mac, you get a similar dialog box. From here, you just need to specify the location where you want to save your document, set the title of your document. Take for example, let me name this one new doc, and set the format. By default, Photoshop will use the Photoshop document format. Now this is the proprietary format that Photoshop uses in saving its documents, so that you can actually come back and continue your work from where you left off. But take for example, if for any reason you don't want to save it as Photoshop documents, you can select a diverse array of save formats from within this menu. You have the JPEG, you have a JPEG stereo, you also have the PNG and the Photoshop RAW formats. Once again, you don't need to worry about all these save options. Just take note of the fact that you can at least save for JPEG format as well as for PNG format from within this menu, as well as set it as Photoshop documents. Now by clicking on the save right here, the document will be saved to the location you specified within here. I'm not going to click on save. See, now I don't want to save this document. I'm just going to click on cancel and move on to the next thing. The next thing we'll be talking about is the edit menu. The edit menu, once again, like every other menu in Photoshop, is filled with a lot of options in which you don't need to worry yourself about the bulk of them. Just take note of the fact that within the edit menu, you could actually cut, copy match, paste and paste special within this menu. As these are the basic options you'll be making use of 80% of the time when you're working with Photoshop. Every other one can be learned and mastered as time goes on. The next menu we'll be talking about is the image menu. The image menu also, as usual, contains a couple number of options. You have the image mode, you have the adjustment layers. We'll be taking a look at the adjustment layer when we are working on the section on image editing and concealing. You have the auto tone, auto contrast, and a lot of other stuff. The primary options I want you to take note of within this menu is the image size, the canvas size, and image and the trim option within this menu. These are the options you will be making use of 80% of the time when you're working in Photoshop. Now that's that for the image menu. Moving on, you also have the layer menu. I don't normally work with the layer menu as that much. See, now most of the options available here can be accessed from within the layer dock from right here. Now, moving on to the next menu, you have the type menu. So also, I don't work from this menu often, but generally there's some interesting stuff you could actually do from within this menu. You could have an orientation of horizontal as well as a vertical type text from within this menu. You could also paste lorem ipsum text. I don't know if you know what lorem ipsum text is. Lorem ipsum text is like a dummy font, dummy text that you use during your design just to mock up your work whenever you're working and you don't have actual content to work with yet. Now the next menu here is the select menu. The select menu also, you're not going to make use of it that much. It's also with the filter menu, the 3D menu, the view menu. Now the next major menu you need to take note of is the window menu. The window menu contains a vast array of docks and panels that you will be making use of for specific operations. Now you have the brush panel, the brush presets, channel menu, and every menu you have within here most times tend to be very, very useful. So it will do you well to take note of the fact that you have access to all these docks and panels within the window menu, as we would be coming back here over and over again. Now the help menu, typical of every other help menu in most programs, it contains the link to the documentation of Photoshop as well as licensing and updates for your application. That's that for our topmost menu. The contextual menu, like I said earlier on, it changes based on the menu that is selected from within the left hand bar. Take for example, I select the rectangular selection tool. Notice how the menu has changed to offer me a vast array of options that I could actually carry out from here. We will be taking a look at this contextual menu as we go on over time. With that, I think we've come to the end of the Photoshop workspace. You don't need to worry yourself about the right hand dock menu, as most of the options here are rarely ever used, and if you have a need to make use of them, they are mostly straightforward. In the next video, we'll be taking a look at we'll start taking a look at each and every tool containing left sidebar region of our Photoshop workspace, starting with the move tool.